Hi friends, I'm Liz and welcome to Convent to Content. I'm a Catholic girl navigating life after religious formation. Now I'm back home in LA at 23 still asking the same question. God, what do you want for my life? Let's navigate life together as we dive into prayer, living out the sacraments, and seeking deep intimacy with God in a noisy world. So if you're ready to grow, to seek, and to say yes, let's become saints together. Hi friends, I know a lot of you guys have been asking why I left the convent. It's been in my comments and in my DMs. And yeah, here's another part of my vocation story and my discernment with the sisters. And so this is part of the story on why I left. Long story short, I felt the call to marriage, and I like to describe it as my call within a call. So within the call of religious life, I felt the call to marriage, and I'm gonna walk you guys through a part of my story. So right after I left college, I fell in love with a young man, very gentleman, very good guy, and I remember my heart just expanding for him in a very pure and gentle way. And with that came the expansion to this vocation of marriage, which I had never felt before with someone else, and I had dated and things like that. And I remember wrestling with God because I was like, Lord, why are you bringing this up? And I think it was very fruitful in its timing, because at the same time I was almost mourning this loss of not being a mother. And I remember I was on my way to India, so I spent a month there. After I left college, a week later I left to India, and I was there for a month, discerning mission retreat / discernment retreat with the Missionary of Charities. And it was the most blessed time, but it was so hard. And I remember being just very sorrowful about the fact that I wasn't going to be a mother and a wife. And by the end of that trip, because we had a week silent retreat and other opportunities to really sit in prayer, I was holding this baby, and I was in an oratory with a bunch of these little boys, and I love kids. I absolutely love children. I love working with kids. Reason why I do, ABA therapy now. I love working with kids. And so I was holding this baby, and as I'm looking at him, he grabs onto my miraculous medal. No, this isn't it. This is the Sacred Heart. But he grabs onto my medal, and I remember just having this profound experience of knowing in my heart that I'm going to be a mother. And I couldn't explain it any more than that. It was just like a thought that came rushing in, and it was like truth. Like I knew I'm going to be a mother. And I remember telling one of the girls on the trip with us, and I was like, there's no way, that was crazy. Like, I don't understand what this means. And as we were leaving that oratory, we had to do like a 2-hour drive. I remember seeing John Bosco, who is one of our co-founders for the community that I was with. And I felt like he was telling me, I'm going to teach you how to be a mom. Simple. Just, I'm going to teach you how to be a mom. And I think that gave me a lot of confidence to continue my journey, because up until that point, he had been so consistent. And I said, okay, Lord, like, I'm going to follow you into the convent. I know all these things are happening. Maybe it's spiritual warfare. Maybe it's the devil. Like, I don't know. Let's continue on the path you've called me to. And so I entered, and there was still a lot of restlessness in my heart. And I was talking to my superior at the time, my formator, and we had gone through all of this. She knew all these things were happening. And by the end of December, she had asked me plain and simply, Liz, what do you want? Like, what do you desire? And I had no answer for her. I didn't know what to say, because honestly, I had no answer for her. So I went home. I did my family visit for Christmas. That was really beautiful, and just such a fruitful time with family, especially since they didn't really understand what I was going through, or didn't have like full support all the way of like, well, we understand what's happening. I think there was a sort of loss and grief on their part. But so I returned, and when I returned, I had COVID. So I got COVID and had to quarantine for a week and a half, because we were with the older sisters and we wanted to keep them safe. And I remember Jesus, in that week and a half that I was alone with him in my room, him just speaking so clearly, like, I need you to fast, like, I need you to pray, like, these next couple months are gonna be really hard and I need you to be strong. And I didn't know what that meant, but Jesus really was speaking to me, and the Holy Spirit was pouring on upon me. And as I was really coming to this decision of, Lord, I really feel called to marriage, like, I think that's the answer, like, I desire marriage in like a good holy vocation. And coming to terms with that, at the same time, I received news that both one of my best friends from college, Richard, had passed away in a motorcycle accident. He was stationed in Florida. Received the news. It was almost like a shock at first. I didn't actually like understand what was happening. And a week later, my dad let me know that he was diagnosed with cancer and was having a surgery soon. And so my life was like in complete shambles. Internally, I was, really upset. I was really devastated. And it was just a really hard time of suffering. And I said, Lord, unite this suffering to my vocation. I want all of this to glorify you. And the Lord really spoke to me, and he healed my dad. Praise be God. Like he healed my father, and what a beautiful gift. And I was able to go see him for his surgery, as well as Richard's funeral mass. We had like a memorial for him at the Catholic Center at UCLA, and so I was able to go to that since I wouldn't have been able to go to the funeral. And so just all these things were bringing pieces of consolation in such a place of desolation. And so even amidst all this like chaos, I still felt a lot of peace in terms of my discernment with leaving and the consolation and peace of marriage. And one of the things that really helped, because it was very isolating, I think just going through this all internally, like alone, was this book called God Moments by Andy Otto. This man understood my heart so well. And when I tell you, I cried and I highlighted and I wrote in this book, and just felt the Spirit really with me. I didn't feel alone. And I highlighted some things in here, but he was discerning with the Jesuits, and he was there for 3 years. And it's all about Ignatius spirituality and the levels of discernment and how to discern, and his own discernment out of the community of Jesuits. And I just felt so seen. Like he understood this desire that I had for marriage in a way that I couldn't articulate, that I couldn't express, and the freedom and the peace and the joy that came with almost accepting that in the flesh of like, this is what I desire, and God desires this goodness, and if I choose this, he's gonna make good and fruit out of the decision that I make in good conscience. And at the time, my formator, she was very wise. She told me, okay, don't make a decision in desolation. So we waited another almost 4 to 5 months in prayer and continuing to ask these questions and have these conversations. And I still had so much peace and joy knowing that the Lord was calling me somewhere else, and that I in free will could make that decision. As hard as it was, as it was very hard. I'm not gonna say it's easy. I love the sisters. I love my companions. They're amazing. They're gonna be novices very soon, and I'm excited to go see them. But yeah, there was a lot of suffering and a lot of trial that came with my decision with leaving. But amidst all of that, there was an endless amount of peace pouring into my heart, and Jesus really speaking to me that it was a time of preparation for me, and he really needed that time with me alone to prepare my heart for when I do become, hopefully, God willing, a mother and a wife. And so, yeah, that's my story. Thanks so much for listening. And I'm very grateful for the pouring of prayers and just the amount of people that have DM'd me and in the comments. Know that I'm praying for you guys, and I want this space to be a place of prayer, to be a place that we can express, parts of our journeys and really walk with one another to become saints together in whatever vocation we are called to and whatever season of life we are in. So thank you guys so much for listening, and God bless. I will see you guys in the next video.